People next door are a distraction. Keep walking back and forth, pacing. Like, what are you listening to? Anyway, pray that they mind their business and get a life and read the Bible and go to church. So we're gonna be reading Deuteronomy. Moses wrote this book. God wants to bless the people of Israel except for Caleb and Joshua. God wants to bless the people of Israel except for Caleb and Joshua. All their grown-ups Moses led out of Egypt have died, and their children have grown up, and Moses tells them how to please God. What happens in this book? Moses speaks to the people of Israel, and he tells them what God has done for them, and he reminds the people of God's rules for holy living. The people of Israel promised to obey God. God helps the people because he loves them, and God's rules for living are given in love. God blesses the people who keep his rules. An important person in this book is Moses. After the people of Israel walk in the desert for 40 years, they are ready to go to the promised land, and Moses talked to the people then. I got the white noise machine because I keep hearing the people, and then next door be walking in the kitchen. It's so distracting. They keep doing that like every single day, like passing by for passing. The people of Israel were come near the Jordan River. They were on the other side of the river from Kenyan when Moses talked to them. Anyway, my prayer was for the last video that I pray that I get a job so I don't have to rely on and I pray that God protect me here where I'm living here and protect my privacy, and I pray that neighbors mind their business and worry about their own life, not mine over here, because there's nothing over here for them other than if they want to hear the gospel. But other than that, nothing else for them. So, yeah. I pray that you keep my eyes on you and not do negativity around me. Amen. Deuteronomy chapter 1. These are the words Moses spoke to all the Israelites at the time they were in the desert east of Jordan River. It's in the Arabia Valley across from Suf. The people were between Paran and Tophel, Laban, Haraz, and Dizar. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing these words right because I can't even say them. It takes 11 days to go from Mount Hor to Kadesh Barnea if you travel on the Mount Seir road. It was the 40th year since the Israelites had left Egypt. On the first day of the 11th month, Moses spoke to them. He told them everything the Lord had commanded him to tell them. They had already won the battle over Shahan. Shahan was the king of the Amorites, and he had ruled in Heshbon, Israel. Israel had also won the battle over Og, and Edrei, Og was the king of Bashan, and he had ruled in Ashtaroth. The people were east of the Jordan River in the territory of Moab, and there Moses began to explain the law. Here's what he said. The Lord our God spoke to us at Mount Horeb, and he said, "You have stayed long enough at this mountain. Take your tents down and go into the hill country of the Amorites, and go to all the people who are their neighbors. Go to the people who live in the Arabia Valley. Travel to the mountains and the western hills, and go to the people in the Negev desert and along the coast. Travel to the land of Kenyan and to Lebanon, and go as far as the greatest Euphrates River. I have given you all of this land. Go and take it as your own." The Lord promised he would give the land to your fathers, and he promised it to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He also said he would give it to their children after them. Some officials are chosen to help Moses. At the time I spoke to you, I said, "You are too heavy." I said, "You are too heavy, a load for me to carry alone. And the Lord your God has caused there to be many of you. Today you are as many as the stars in the sky. The Lord is the God of your people, and may he cause there to be 1,000 times more of you. May he bless you just as he promised he would, but I can't handle your problems and troubles all by myself. I can't settle your arguments, so choose some wise men from each of your tribes, and they must understand how to give good advice. The people must have respect for them. I will appoint those men to have authority over you." You answered me, and your suggestion is good. So I chose the leading men of your tribes, who were wise and respected. I appointed them to have authority over you, and I made them commanders of thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. I appointed them to be officials over the tribes, and here is what I commanded your judges at that time. I said, "Listen to your people's excuses when they argue with one another. Judge them fairly. It doesn't matter whether the case is between two Israelites or between an Israelite and an outsider living among you. When you judge them, treat everyone the same. Listen to those who are important and those who are not. Don't be afraid of anyone. God is the highest judge of all. Bring me any case that is too hard for you, and I'll listen to it. At that time, I told you everything you should do." 12 men check out the land of Kenyan. So I'm reading out of the NIRV Bible. The Lord our God commanded us to start out from Mount Horeb, so we did, and we went toward the hill country of the Amorites. We traveled all through the huge and terrible desert, and you saw finally we reached Kadesh Barnea. Then I said to you, "You have reached the hill country of the Amorites. The Lord our God has given it to us. The Lord your God has given you this land. The land, go up and take it, and do what the Lord says. He is the God of your people. Don't be afraid and don't lose hope." Then all of you came to me. You said, "Let's send some men ahead of us. They can check out the land for us and bring back a report. They can suggest to us which way to go, and they can tell us about the towns we'll come to." That seems like a good idea to me, so I chose 12 of you. I picked one man from each tribe, and they left and went up into the hill country. And there they came to the valley of Esquel, and they checked it out, and they got some of the fruit of that land, and then they brought it back. They brought it down to us and gave us their report, and they said, "The Lord our God has given us a good land." So this is where they mess up. They refuse to obey the Lord. Israel refuses to obey the Lord. But you won't. But you wouldn't go up. You refused to obey the command of the Lord your God. You spoke against him in your tents, and you said, "The Lord hates us." That's why he brought us out of Egypt to hand us over to the Amorites. He wanted to destroy us. Where can we go? The men who checked out the land have made us afraid, and they say, "The people are stronger and taller than we are. The cities are large, and they have walls that reach up to the sky." We even saw the Canaanites there. Then I said to you, "Don't be terrified. Don't be afraid of them. The Lord your God will go ahead of you. He will fight for you." With your own eyes, you saw how he fought for you in Egypt, and you saw how the Lord your God brought you through the desert. He carried you everywhere you went, just as a father carries his son. And now you have arrived here. In spite of that, you didn't trust in the Lord your God. He went ahead of you on your journey, and he was in the fire at night and in the cloud during the day. He found places for you to camp, and he showed you the way you should go. The Lord heard what you said, so he became angry, and he made a promise. He said, "I promised to give this good land to your people of long ago, but no one alive today will see it. Only Caleb will see the land. He is the son of Jephunneh. I will give him and his children after him the land." He walked on. He followed me with his whole heart. Because of you, the Lord became angry with me also. He said, "You will not enter the land either, but Joshua the son of Nun is your helper. Joshua will enter the land. Help him to be brave and give him hope. He will lead Israel to take the land as their own." You said your little ones would be taken prisoner, but they will enter the land. They do not yet know right from wrong, but I will give them the land, and they will take it as their own. As for you, turn around, start out toward the desert, and go along the road that leads to the Red Sea. Then you replied, "We have sinned against the Lord. We will go up and fight. We'll do just as the Lord our God has commanded us." So all of you got your swords and put them on, and you thought it would be easy to go up into the hill country. But the Lord spoke to me. He said, "Tell them, do not go up to fight. I will not be with you. Your enemies will win the battle over you." So I told you what the Lord said, but you wouldn't listen. You refused to obey his command. You were so filled with pride that you marched up into the hill country. The Amorites who lived in those hills came out and attacked you. Like large numbers of bees, they chased you. They beat you down from Seir all the way to Hamar. You came back and wept in front of the Lord, but he didn't pay any attention to your weeping. He wouldn't listen to you. So you stayed in Kadesh for many years, and you spent a long time in that area. Deuteronomy chapter 2, Israel wanders in the desert for 40 years. We turned back and started out toward the sea, the desert. We went along the road that leads to the Red Sea. That's how the Lord had directed me. For a long time, we made our way around the hill country of Seir. Then the Lord spoke to me. He said, "You have made your way around this hill country long enough, so now turn north. Here are the orders I want you to give the people. Tell them you are about to pass through the territory of your relatives. They are from the family line of Esau, and they live in Seir, and they will be afraid of you. But be very careful, do not make them angry. If you do, they will go to war against you. I will not give you any of their land. You will not have even enough to put your foot on. I have given Esra's people the hill country of Seir as their own. Pay them of silver for the food you eat and the water you drink. The Lord your God has blessed you in everything your hands have done. He will watch over you when you travel through that huge desert. For these 40 years, the Lord your God has been with you, so you have had everything you need. We went on past our relatives, and they are from the family line of Eswa, and they live in Seir, and we turn away from the Arabia Valley Road, and it comes up from Eleph and Ezion and Gibeon. We traveled along the desert road of Moab. Then the Lord said to me, do not attack the Moabites, and do not even make them angry. If you do, they will go to war against you. I will not give you any part of their land. I have given Moab to the people in the family line of Lot. I have given it to them as their own. The Ammonites used to live there. They were strong people, and there were large numbers of them, and they were as tall as the Canaanites. Like the Canaanites, they too were thought of as Rephaites. But the Moabites called them Ammonites. The Horites used to live in Seir, but the people of Esra drove them out, and they destroyed the Horites to make room for themselves. Then they settled in their territory, and they did just as Israel has done in the land the Lord gave them as their own. The Lord said, now, get up, go across the Seir Valley. So we went across it. Between the time we left Kadesh Barnea and the time we went across the Seir Valley, 38 years had passed by. Then all the fighting men who had been in our camp from the beginning had died. The Lord had warned them that it would happen. He used his power against them until he had gotten rid of all of them, and not one was left in camp. Finally, the last of the fighting men among the people died, and then the Lord said to me, today you must pass near the border of Moab. Moab is also called Ar. When you come to the Amorites, do not attack them and do not make them angry. If you do, they will go to war against you. I will not give you any of their land as your own. I will have given it to the people in the family line of Lot. I have given it to them as their own. That land was also thought of as a land of the Rephaites. They used to live there, but the Amorites called them Zamzumites. I don't know. The Rephaites were a strong people. There were large numbers of them, and they were as tall as the Canaanites. The Lord destroyed the Rephaites to make room for the Ammonites. So the Amorites drove them out. Then they settled in the territory of the Rephaites. The Lord had done the same things for the Lord of Esra, and they live in Seir. The Lord destroyed the Horites to make room for Esra's people, and they drove the Horites out. So the people of Esra have lived in Seir in the territory of the Horites to this very day. The Avites live in the villages as far as Gaza, but people came from Crete and destroyed the Avites. Then the people of Crete made their home in the territory of the Avites. So Israel wins the battle over Sihon. Hold on. Okay, guys. So, Israel wins the battle over Salon. The Lord said, "Start out and go across the valley of the Aryan River. I have handed Salon over to you. He is the Emirate king of Heshbon." Here's an oatmeal. Oatmeal and banana cake bars. He is the Emirate king of Heshbon. I have also given you his country. Begin to take it as your own and go to war against him. This very day I will bring fear and terror on all the nations because of you. They will hear about you and they will tremble with fear. Pain and suffering will grip them because of you. I sent messengers from the desert of Kedemoth and I told them to go to Salon. The king of Heshbon. They offered him peace and they said, "Let us pass through your country. We'll stay on the main road and we won't turn away. We won't turn off it to one side or the other. We'll pay you the right amount of silver for food to eat and water to drink. Just let us walk through your country." The people of Esra who live in Seir allowed us to do that. The people of Moab who live in Ar also allowed us to do it. So let us walk through your till we go across the Jordan River. Then we will be able to go into the land of the Lord our God has given us. But Salon, the king of Heshbon, refused to let us walk through, and the Lord your God had made him stubborn in his heart and spirit. The Lord wanted to hand him over to you, and that's exactly what he has done. The Lord said to me, "I have begun to hand Salon and his country over to you, so begin the battle to take his hand as your own." Salon and his whole army came out to fight against us at Jahaz, but the Lord our God handed him over to us, and we struck him down together with his sons and his whole army. At that time we took all his towns, and we completely destroyed them. We killed all the men, women, and children, and we didn't leave any of them alive. But we took for ourselves the livestock and everything else from the towns we have captured. Not a single town was too strong for us. That includes all the towns from Uriah or on the rib of the Aryan River Valley and all the way to Gilead. It also includes the towns in the valley. The Lord our God gave us all of them. And you obeyed the Lord's command. You didn't go near any part of the land of the Amorites. That includes the land along the Jabbok River. It also included the land around the towns and the hills. Deuteronomy chapter 3. Israel wins the battle over Og. Next we turned and we went up along the road toward Bashan. Og marched out with his whole army, and they fought against us at Edrei. Og was the king of Bashan, and the Lord said to me, "Do not be afraid of Og. I have handed him over to you. I have also handed him over his whole army and his land, and do to him what you did to Shalon." Shalon was the Amorite king who ruled in Heshbon. So the Lord our God also handed Og, the king of Bashan, and his whole army over to us, and we struck them down. We didn't leave any of them alive. At that time we took all the cities, and there were 60 of them. We took the whole area of Arab, and that was Og's kingdom in Bashan. All those cities was high walls around them, and the city gates were made secure with heavy metal bars. There were also large numbers of villages that didn't have walls, and we completely destroyed them. We did to them just as we had done to Shalon, the king of Heshbon. We destroyed all their cities. We destroyed the men, the women, and children, but we kept ourselves, the livestock and everything else we took from their cities. So at that time, we took the territory east of the Jordan River, and we captured it from those two Amorite kings. The territories goes all the way from the Aryan River Valley to the Mount Hebron. Hebron is called the Syrian, but the people of Sidon, the Amorites, called it Sinir. We captured all the towns on the high plains, and we took the whole land of Gilead, and we captured the whole land of Bashan as far away as Shekel and Avieh. Those were towns that belonged to Og's kingdom in the Bashan. Og, the king of Bashan, was the only Revite left, and his bed was decorated with iron. It was more than 13 feet long and 6 feet wide. It is still in the Amorite city of Reba. So Moses divided up the land. I divided up the land, and we took over at that time, and I gave the tribes of Reuben and Gad the territory north of Ariel by the Aryan River Valley. It includes half of the hill country of Gilead together with its towns. I gave the rest of Gilead to the half of the tribe of Manasseh. I also gave them the whole land of Bashan and the kingdom of Og. The whole area of Argob and Bashan used to be known as the land of the Rephaites. And Jared took the whole area of Argob, and he was formed the family line of Manasseh. Argob goes all the way to the border of the people of Geshur and Makkah. It was named after Jared, so Bashan is called Hebroth Jared into this very day. I gave Gilead to Mercure, but I gave to the tribes of Reuben and Gad the territory that reaches from Gilead down to the Aryan River Valley. It goes all the way to the Jabbok River. The Jabbok is the northern border of Emmaus. The middle of the Aryan River Valley, its southern border. The western border of Reuben and Gad is the Jordan River and the Aryan Valley. It reaches from the Sea of Galilee to the Dead Sea. It runs below the slopes of Pisgah. Here is the command I gave at that time to the tribes of Reuben and Gad and half of the tribe of Manasseh. I said, "The Lord your God has given you this land as your very own. But all your strong men must be prepared for battle. They must cross over ahead of the rest of the Israelites. But your wives and children can stay in the towns I have given you. You can keep your livestock there too, and I know you have a lot of livestock. The Lord has given you peace and rest. Then let your families and livestock stay in those towns until the Lord gives peace and rest to the other tribes." and let your family stay until the other tribes have taken over the land the Lord your God is giving them. That land is across the Jordan River. After that, each of you may go back to the land I've given you as your very own. So the Lord will not allow Moses to cross the Jordan River. At that time I gave Joshua a command. I said, your own eyes have seen everything the Lord your God has done to Shalon and Og. He will do the same thing to all the kingdoms in the land where you are going. Don't be afraid of them. Your Lord your God himself will fight for you. At that time I made my appeal to the Lord. I said, Lord and King, you have begun to show me how great you are, and you have showed me how strong your hand is. You do great works and almighty acts. There isn't any gold in heaven or on earth who can do what you do. Let me go across the Jordan River and let me see the good land beyond it. I want to see that fine hill country in Lebanon. But the Lord was angry with me because of what you did. He wouldn't listen to me. That is enough. The Lord said, do not speak to me anymore about this matter. Go up to the highest slopes of the Tigris and look west and north and south and east, and look at the land with your own eyes. But you are not going to go across this Jordan River. So appoint Joshua as the new leader and help him to be brave. Give him hope and strength if he will take these people across the Jordan. You will see the land, but he will lead them into it to take it as their own. So we stayed in the valley near Beth Peor. So it says a little article here, Life in Bible Times, Statues of Gods. In Moses' time, some people worship statues of gods called idols, and the idols were made of wood or metal. These statues, of course, could not hear or see or speak. God did not want the Israelites to worship idols. So God promised the Israelites that if they loved and obeyed only him, he would protect them and take care of them. That's something no statue could ever do. So we're actually the one in Deuteronomy chapter 4. Now, Israel, listen to the rules and laws I'm going to teach you. Obey them, and you will live. You will go in and take over the land. The Lord was the God of your people long ago. He is giving you the land. Don't add to what I'm commanding you, and don't subtract from it either. Instead, obey the commands of your Lord your God that I'm giving you. Your own eyes saw that the Lord your God did at Baal Peor. He destroyed every one of your people who worshipped the Baal that was worshipped up here. But all of you who remain true to the Lord your God are still alive today. I have taught you rules and laws just as the Lord my God commanded me. Obey them in the land you are entering to take as your very own, and be careful to keep them. That will show the nations how wise and understanding you are. They will hear about all these rules, and they'll say, that great nation certainly has wise and understanding people. The Lord our God is near us every time we pray to him. What other nations is great enough to have its gods that close to them? I'm giving you the laws of the Lord today. What other nation is great enough to have rules and laws as fair as these? Don't be careless. Instead, be very careful. Don't forget the things your eyes have seen. As long as you live, don't let them slip from your mind, and teach them to your children and your children after them. Remember the day you stood at Mount Horeb, and the Lord your God was there. He said to me, bring the people to me to hear my words. I want them to learn to have respect for me as long as they live in the land. I want them to teach I want to teach to him my words to the children. You came near and stood at the foot of the mountain. It blazed with fire that reached as high as the very heavens. There were black clouds and deep darkness. Then the Lord spoke to you out of the fire, and you heard the sound of his words. But you didn't see any shape or form. You only heard a voice. He announced his covenant to you. That covenant is the 10 Commandments. He commanded you to obey them. Then he wrote them down on 2 stone tablets. At that time, the Lord directed me to teach you his rules and laws, and you must obey them in the land you are crossing, the Jordan River, to take as your own. Don't make or worship statues of gods. The Lord spoke to you at Mount Horeb out of the fire, but you didn't see any shape or form that day. So be very careful and make sure you don't commit a horrible sin. Don't make for yourself a statue of a god, and don't make a god that looks like a man or a woman or anything else. Don't make one that looks like any animal on earth or any bird that flies in the sky. Don't make a statue that looks like any creature that moves along the ground or any fish that swims in the water. When you look up at the heavens, you will see the sun and moon, and you will see the huge numbers of stars. Don't let anyone tempt you to bow down to the sun or moon or stars, and don't worship things the Lord your God has provided for all the nations on earth. Egypt was like a furnace that melts iron down and makes it pure, but the Lord took you and brought you out of Egypt. He wanted you to be his very own people, and that's exactly what you are. The Lord was angry with me because of what you did. He promised that he would never let me go across the Jordan River. He promised that I would never enter that good land. It's the land your God is giving you as your own. I'll die here in this land, and I won't go across the Jordan, but you are about to cross over it. You will take that good land as your own. Be careful and don't forget the covenant the Lord your God made with you, and don't make for yourself a statue of any god at all. He has told you not to, so don't do it. The Lord your God is like a fire that burns everything up. He wants you to worship only him. So don't make a statue of a god, and don't commit that horrible sin. Don't do it even after you have had children and grandchildren. Don't do it even after you lived in the land a long time. If you do, that will be an evil thing in the sight of the Lord your God. You will make him angry. Today I'm calling out to the heavens and the earth to be witness against you. Suppose you do these things, and you will quickly die in the land you are going to cross the Jordan River to take over. You won't live there very long, and you will certainly be destroyed. The Lord will drive you out of your land. The Lord will drive you out of your land, and he will scatter you among the nations. Only a few of you will remain alive there. There you will worship gods that men have made out of wood and stone. Those gods can't see, hear, eat, or smell. Perhaps while you are there, you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him if you seek with all your heart and with all your soul. All the things I told you about might happen to you, and you will be in trouble. But later you will return to the Lord your God, and you will obey him. The Lord your God is tender and loving. He won't leave you or destroy you. He won't forget the covenant he made with your people as long ago. He gave his word when he made it. The Lord is God. Ask about the days of long ago and find out what happened long before your time, and ask about what happened since the time God created human beings on the earth. Ask from the end of the world to the other, has anything as great as this ever happened? Has anything like it ever had been heard of? You heard the voice of God speaking out of fire, and you lived. Has that happened to any other people? Has any God ever tried to take one nation out of another to be his own? Has any God done it by testing his people? Has any God done it with the signs and amazing deeds, or with war? Has any God reached out his mighty hand and powerful arm? Or has any God shown his people his great and wonderful acts? The Lord your God did all those things for you in Egypt with your very own eyes, and you saw him do them. The Lord showed you those things so that you might know he is God. There is no other God except him. From heaven he made you hear his voice, and he wanted to teach you. On earth he showed you his great fire. You heard his words coming out of the fire, and he loved your people of long ago. He chose their children after them, so he brought you out of Egypt, and he used his great strength to do for you. They were greater and stronger than you are. He will bring you into the land, and he wants to give it to you as your very own. The whole land is as good as your right, as yours right now. The Lord is God in heaven above and on the earth below. Today you must agree with that and take it to the heart. There is no other God, and I'm giving you his rules and commands today. Obey them, then the things will go well with you and your children after you. You will live a long time in the land, and the Lord your God is giving you the land for all time to come. Cities surrounded safely. So then Moses set apart 3 cities east of the Jordan River. Suppose someone killed a person they didn't hate, and without meaning to do it, that person could run to one of those cities and stay alive. Here are the names of the cities. Bezer, it was for the people of Reuben, and it was in the high plains in the desert. Ramah was for the purpose. For the people of God, it was in Gilead. Gilead was for the people of Messiah, and it was in Bashan. The words of treasure, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 35. The Lord showed you those things too, so that you might know he is God. There is no other God except for him. Moses gave the law to the people. So here is the law Moses gave the Israelites. Here are the terms, rules, and laws Moses gave them to the people when they came out of Egypt. They were now east of the Jordan River in the valley near Beth Peor. They were in the land of Salon and the king of the Amorites. He ruled in Heshbon, but Moses and the Israelites won the battle over him. After we came out of Egypt, they captured his land and made it their own, and they also took the land of Og. The king of Bashan, Salon, and Og were the two Amorite kings east of the Jordan River. Their land reached from Area on the rim of the Aryan River Valley to the Mount Hebron, and concluded the whole Aryan Valley east of the Jordan. It included the land all the way to the Dead Sea, below the slopes of Pega. The Ten Commandments. Moses sent for all the Israelites. Here is what he said to them. Israel, listen to me. Here are the rules and laws I'm announcing to you today. Learn them well. Be sure to obey them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us at Mount. He didn't make it only with our people of a long ago. He also made it with us. In fact, he made it with all of us who are alive here today. The Lord spoke to you face to face. His voice came out of the fire on the mountain. At that time, I stood between the Lord and you, and I announced to you the Lord's message. I did it because you were afraid of the fire and you didn't go up the mountain. The Lord said, I am the Lord your God. I brought you out of Egypt. That is the land where you were slaves. It says, do not put any other gods in place of me. Do not make statue of gods that look like anything in the sky or on earth or in the waters. Do not bow down to them or worship them. I am your God. I want you to worship only me. I cause the sins of the parents to affect their children. I will cause the sins of those who hate me affect even their grandchildren, even great-grandchildren. But for all time to come, I will show love to all those who love me and keep my commandments. Do not misuse my name. Do not misuse the name of the Lord your God. The Lord will find guilty anyone who misuses his name. Keep the Sabbath day holy and do this as the Lord your God has commanded you. Do all your work in 6 days, but the seventh day is a Sabbath to honor the Lord your God. Do not do any work on that day. The same command applies to your sons and daughters, your male and female servants, your oxen, your donkeys, and your other animals. It also applies to any outsiders who live in your towns. I want your male and female servants to rest just as you do. Remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and the Lord your God reached out his mighty hand and powerful arm and brought you out of there. So the Lord your God has commanded you to keep the Sabbath day holy. Honor your father and mother, just as the Lord your God has commanded you. Then you will live a long time in the land he has given you, and things will go well with you there. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, and do not steal. Do not be a false witness against your neighbor, and do not want to have your neighbor's wife. Do not desire anything your neighbor owns, and do not desire to have your neighbor's house or land, male or female, servant, ox, or donkey. These are the commandments the Lord announced in a loud voice to your whole community. He gave them to you there on the mountain, and he spoke out of fire, cloud, and deep darkness. He didn't add anything else. Then he wrote the commandments on 2 tablets, and he gave them to me. The 10 Commandments are special rules God gave to the people of Israel, and they are for us today. So, you can show love to God and to others by following His rules. The mountain was blazing with fire, and you heard the voice coming out of the darkness. So your elders and all the leaders of your tribes came to me, and you said, the Lord our God has shown us His glory and majesty. We have heard His voice coming out of the fire, and today we have seen that a person can still stay alive, even if God speaks with them. But why should we die? This great fire will burn us up, and we'll die if we hear the voice of the Lord our God again. We have heard the voice of the living God. and we heard him speaking out of the fire. Has any other human being ever heard him speak like that and stayed alive? Go near and listen to everything the Lord our God says and tell us what he tells you. We will listen and obey. The Lord heard you when you spoke to me, and he said to me, I have heard what these people said to you. Everything they said was good, but I wish they always had respect for me in their hearts. I wish they would always obey all my commands. Then things would go well with them and their children forever. Go and tell them to return to their tents, but you stay here with me. Then I will give you all my commands, rules, and laws. You must teach the people to obey them in the land I'm giving them as their very own. So be careful to do what the Lord your God has commanded you to do. Don't turn away from my commands, to the right or the left. Live exactly as the Lord your God has commanded you to live. Then you will enjoy life in the land. You will soon own things. You will enjoy in the land you will own. You will soon own. Things will go well with you there. You will live there for a long time. So I should read to 12 and then be done. So why did God tell his people to kill the Canaanites? In Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 2, the Canaanites did not worship God. They did terrible things, and they even burned some of their own children as sacrifices to their gods. They thought those things pleased their gods. God hated the things the Canaanites did, and he wanted to destroy them. He wanted to punish them for their sins. God didn't want the Canaanites to lead Israel away from him. Deuteronomy chapter 6. So the Lord your God has directed me to teach you his commands, rules, and laws. Obey them in the land and you will take over. Obey them in the land you will take over. When you go across the Jordan River, then your children and their children after them will honor the Lord your God as long as you live. Obey all the rules and commands I'm giving you. If you do, you will enjoy a long life. Israel, listen to me. Make sure you obey me. Then things will go well with you. The number of your people will increase greatly in a land that has plenty of milk and honey. That's what the Lord, the God of your parents, promised you. Israel, listen to me. The Lord is our God. The Lord is the one and only God. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. Love him with all your strength. The commandments I give you today must be in your hearts. Make sure your children learn them. Talk about them when you are at home and talk about them when you walk along the road. Speak about them when you go to bed and speak about them when you get up. Write them down and tie them on your hands as a reminder. Always tie them on your foreheads. Write them on the doorframes of your houses. Also write them on your gates. The Lord your God will bring you into the land of Canaan, and he gave his word. He promised he would give the land to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The land was large, wealthy cities, and you didn't build. It has houses filled with all kinds of good things you didn't provide. The land has wells you didn't dig, and it has vineyards and groves of olive trees you didn't plant. You will have plenty to eat, but be careful that you don't forget the Lord and remember that he brought you out of Egypt, that the land where you were slaves. Worship the Lord your God. He is the only one you should serve. When you make a promise, do not do so in his name. Don't serve the gods of the nations around you. The Lord God is among you, and he wants you to worship only him. If you worship other gods, God will be very angry with you, and he will destroy you from the face of the land. Don't test the Lord your God as you did as Messiah. Be sure to obey the Lord's commands, obey the terms and rules he has given you. Do what is right and good in the Lord's eyes, then things will go well with you. You will go and take over the land. It's the good land the Lord promised to your people of long ago. You will drive out all your enemies to make room for you. That's what the Lord said would happen. Later on, your children might ask you, what is the meaning of terms, rules, and laws the Lord has commanded you to obey? If they do ask you, tell them, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, but the Lord used his mighty hand to bring us out of Egypt. With our own eyes, we saw the Lord send amazing signs. They were great and terrible. He sent them on Egypt and Pharaoh and everyone in the house. But the Lord brought us out of Egypt, and he planned to bring us into the land of Kenyan and give it to us. It is the land he promised to our people of long ago. The Lord our God commanded us to obey all his rules. He commanded us to honor him. If we do, we will always succeed, and he will be kept alive. That's what is happening today. We must make sure we obey the whole law in sight of the Lord our God. That's what he has commanded us to do. If we obey his law, we'll be doing what he requires. So Deuteronomy 7. The Lord will drive out many nations. The Lord your God will bring you into the land you are going to enter it, take it as your own. He will drive out many nations to make room for you, and he'll drive out the Hittites, Gershurites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. Those 7 nations are larger and stronger than you are. The Lord your God will hand them over to you. You will win the battle over them, and you must completely destroy them. Don't make a peace treaty with them, and don't show them any mercy. Don't marry any of their people, and don't give your daughters to their sons. And don't take their daughters for your sons. If you do, those people will turn your children away from serving the Lord. Then your children will serve other gods. The Lord will be very angry with you. He will quickly destroy you. So here is what you must do to those people. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, cut down the poles they used to worship the female god named Asherah. Burn the statues of their gods in the fire. You are a holy nation. The Lord your God has sent you apart for himself. He has chosen you to be his special treasure. He chose you out of all the nations on the face of the earth to be his people. The Lord chose you because he loved you very much. He didn't choose you because you had more people than other nations. In fact, you had the smallest number of all. The Lord chose you because he loved you. He wanted to keep the promise he had made to your people of long ago. That's why he used his mighty hand to bring you out of Egypt. He brought you back from the land where you were slaves, and he set you free from the power of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. So I want you to realize that the Lord your God is God. He is faithful God. He keeps the covenant for all time to come, and he keeps it with those who love him and obey his commandments. He shows them his love, but he will pay back those who hate him. He will destroy them, and he'll quickly pay those who hate him. So be careful to obey the commands, rules, and laws I'm giving you today. Pay attention to the laws of the Lord your God and be careful to obey them. Then he will keep his covenant of love with you. That's what he promised to your people of long ago. The Lord will love you and bless you. He'll cause there to be many of you. He'll give you many children, and he'll bless the crops of your land. He'll give you plenty of grain, olive oil, and fresh wine, and he'll bless your herds with many calves, and he'll give your flocks many lambs, and he'll do all these things for you in the land of Kenyan. It's the land he promised your people of long ago that he will give you. He will bless you more than any other nation. All your men and women will have children, and all your livestock will have little ones. The Lord will keep you from getting sick, and he won't send on you any of the horrible sicknesses you saw around you in Egypt, but he'll send them on everyone who hates you. You must destroy all the nations the Lord your God hands over to you. Don't feel sorry for them, and don't serve their gods. If you do, they will be a trap for you. You might say to yourself, these nations are stronger than we are. How can we drive them out? But don't be afraid of them. Be sure to remember what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and all the Egyptians. With your own eyes, you saw what the Lord did to them. You saw the signs and amazing things he did. He reached out his mighty hand and powerful arm. You are now afraid of the nations that are in the land the Lord promised you, but the Lord your God will do to them the same things he did to Egypt. The Lord your God will also send hornets among these nations. Some of these people left alive will hide from you, but even they will die. So don't be terrified by them. The Lord your God is with you. He is a great and wonderful God. The Lord your God will drive out those nations to make room for you. But he will do it little by little, and you won't be allowed to get rid of them all at once. If you did, the wild animals would multiply around you. But the Lord your God will hand those nations over to you, and he will throw them into a panic until they are destroyed. He will hand their kings over to you. You will wipe out their names from the earth. No one will be able to stand up against you. You will destroy them, burn their statues of their gods in the fire. Don't wish for the silver and gold on those statues. Don't take it for yourselves. If you do, it will be a trap for you. The Lord your God hates it. Don't bring anything he hates into your house. If you do, you will be completely destroyed along with it. So hate it with all your heart. It is a set apart to be destroyed. So, Deuteronomy chapter 8. Remember what the Lord has done. Make sure you obey every command I'm giving you today. Then you will live, and there will be many of you. You will enter the land and take it as your own. It's the land the Lord promised to your people of long ago. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way he guided you in the desert for 40 years. He wanted to take your pride away. He wanted to test you to know what was in your hearts. He wanted to see whether you would obey his commands. He took your pride away. He let you go hungry. Then he gave you manna to eat. You and your parents had never even known anything about manna before. He tested you to teach you that man doesn't live only on bread. He also lives on every word that comes from the mouth of the Lord. And we'll see that scripture in chapter Matthew. Your clothes didn't wear out during these 40 years. Your feet didn't swell. Here is what I want you to know in your hearts. The Lord your God guides you just as parents guide their children. Obey the commands of the Lord your God. Live as he wants you to live. Have respect for him. The Lord your God is bringing you into a good land. It has brooks, streams, and deep springs of water. Those springs flow in its valleys and hills. It has wheat, barley, vines, fig trees, pomegranates, olive oil, and honey. There is plenty of food in that land, and you will have everything you need. Its rocks have iron in them, and you can dig copper out of its hills. When you have eaten and are satisfied, praise the Lord your God. Praise him for the good land has given you. Just give thanks for everything God gave you, even if you don't have a lot like me. Like when I said I was in poverty, I meant I'm not having a job. I don't have a job. I want to have a job. I pray I get a job so I can support myself with more, and I don't have to rely on nothing else. I don't like relying on anything but support myself with God's help. Praise him for the good land he has given you, and make sure you don't forget the Lord your God, and don't fail to obey his commands, laws, and rules I'm giving them to you today. But suppose you don't obey his commands, and suppose you have plenty to eat, you build fine houses and live in them. The number of your herds and flocks increases. You also get more and more silver and gold, and everything you have multiples. Then your hearts will become proud, and you will forget the Lord your God. The Lord brought you out of Egypt. That's the land where you were slaves. He led you through that huge and terrible desert. It was a dry land. It didn't have any water. It has poisonous snakes and scorpions. The Lord gave water out of solid rock. He gave you manna to eat in the desert, and your people had never even known anything about manna before. The Lord took your pride away. He tested you. He did it so that the things would go well with you in the end. You might say to yourself, my power and my strong hands have made me rich. But remember the Lord your God. He gives you the ability to produce wealth. That shows he stands by the terms of the covenant he made with you. He promised it to your people of a long ago, and he's still faithful to his covenant today. Don't forget the Lord your God, and don't serve other gods. Don't worship them and bow down to them. I am witnesses against you today that if you do, you will certainly be destroyed. You will be destroyed just like the nations the Lord your God is destroying to make room for you. That is what will happen if you don't obey him. So why did God give us laws and rules to live by? Deuteronomy chapter 8 verse 1. God is good. He hates what is wrong. God gave us rules because he wants us to do good. And when we do what is right, we act like he wants us to do. Like he wants us to. And when we do what is wrong, we don't act like he wants us to. God wants only the best for his people. Deuteronomy chapter 9.
Welcome to use Bluetooth microphone. Bluetooth mode.
Okay. So we're at can't remember where I'm at now. So I guess we're at Deuteronomy chapter 9. So it says, Israel, listen to me. You are about to go across the Jordan River. You will take over the land of the nations that live there. Those nations are greater and stronger than you are. Their large cities have walls that reach out up to the sky. The people who live there are Canaanites. They are strong and tall, and you know all about them. You have heard the people say, who can stand up against the Canaanites? But today you can be sure the Lord your God will go over there ahead of you. He is like a fire that will burn them up. He will destroy them, and he'll bring them under your control. You will drive them out, and you will put an end to them quickly, just as the Lord has promised you. The Lord your God will drive them out to make room for you. And when he does, don't say to yourself, the Lord has done it because I am godly. That's why he brought me here to take over this land. That isn't true. The Lord is going to drive out those nations to make room for you because they are very evil. Remember, he said they're very evil, not because they're godly, why he drove them out, because they are evil people. You are not going in to take over their land because you have done what is right or honest. It's because those nations are so evil. That's why the Lord your God will drive them out to make room for you. He would do it. He would do what he said, and he would do. He had promised to your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Lord your God is giving you this good land to take as your own, but you must understand that it isn't because you are a godly nation. In fact, you are stubborn. Israel worshipped the golden calf. Here is something you must remember. Never forget it. You made the Lord your God angry in the desert. You refused to obey him from the day you left Egypt until you arrived here at Mount Horeb. You made the Lord angry enough to destroy you. I went up to the mountain. I went there to receive the tablets of the covenant law. They were made out of stone. It was the covenant the Lord had made with you. I stayed on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights. I didn't eat any food or drink any water. The Lord gave me 2 stone tablets. The words on them were written by the finger of God. All the commandments the Lord gave you were written on the tablets. He announced them to you out of the fire on the mountain, and he wrote them on the day you gathered together there. The 40 days and 40 nights came to an end. Then the Lord gave me the 2 tablets. They were tablets of the covenant law. The Lord told me, go down from here right away. The people you brought out of Egypt have become very sinful. They have quickly turned away from what I commanded them. They have made a statue of a god for themselves. The Lord also said to me, I have seen these people. They are so stubborn. Do not try to stop me. I am going to destroy them, and I will wipe them out from the earth. Then I will make you into a great nation, and your people will be stronger than they were, and there will be more of you than there were of them. So I turned and went down the mountain. It was blazing with fire. I was carrying the 2 tablets of the covenant law. When I looked, I saw that you had sinned against the Lord your God. You had made for yourself a metal statue of a god. It looked like a calf. You had quickly turned away from the path the Lord had commanded you to follow. So I threw the 2 tablets out of my hands, and you watched them break into pieces. Then once again I fell down flat in front of the Lord with my face toward the ground. I lay there for 40 days and 40 nights. I didn't eat any food or drink any water. You had committed a terrible sin. You had done an evil thing in the Lord's sight. You had made him angry. I was afraid of the Lord's great anger. He was so angry with you. He wanted to destroy you. But the Lord listened to me again, and he was so angry with Aaron, and he wanted to destroy him too. But at that time I prayed for Aaron. I also got that sinful calf you had made. I burned it in the fire. I crushed it and ground it into the powder. Then I threw the powder into a stream that was flowing down the mountain. You also made the Lord angry at Tabler, Massa, and Kibria and Hiriah. The Lord said, sent you out of Kadesh Barnea. He said, go up and take over the land I have given you, but you refused to do what the Lord your God had commanded you to do. You didn't trust him or obey him. You have been refusing to obey the Lord as long as I known you. I lay down in front of the Lord with my face toward the ground for 40 days and 40 nights. I did it because the Lord had said he would destroy you. I prayed to him, Lord and King, I said, don't destroy your people. They belong to you. You set them free by your great power. You used your mighty hand to bring them out of Egypt. Remember your servants Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and forgive the Israelites for being so stubborn. Don't judge them for their evil and sinful things they done. If you do, the Egyptians will say the Lord wasn't able to take them into the land he had promised to give them. He hated them, so he brought them out of Egypt to put them to death in the desert. But they are your people, and they belong to you. You use your great power to bring them out of Egypt, and you reach out your mighty arm and save them. So we're at Deuteronomy 10. At that time the Lord spoke to me. He said, carve out 2 stone tablets just like the first ones. Then come up to me on the mountain. Also, make a wooden ark, and I will write on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke. Then you must put the tablets in the ark. So I made the ark out of acacia wood, and I carved out 2 stone tablets that were just like the first ones. I went up to the mountain, and I carried the 2 tablets in my hands. The Lord wrote on the tablets what he had written before. It was the 10 commandments, and he had announced them to you out of the fire on the mountain. It was on the day you gathered together there, so the Lord gave the tablets to me. Then I came back down the mountain. I put the tablets in the ark and I had made, and just as the Lord had commanded me, and that's where they are now. Remember how the Israelites traveled from the wells of Ben-Joktan to Mershah, then where Aaron died, and his body was buried there. His son Ezer became the next priest after him. From Mershah, and people traveled to, I don't know that word, Goldof or something. Then they went to Jabberelf. Then the land has streams of water. At that time the Lord set the tribe of Levi apart. He wanted and appointed them to carry the ark of the covenant of the Lord. He wanted them to serve him. He told them to bless the people in the name, and they still do it today. That's why the Levites don't have any part of the land the Lord gave the other tribes in Israel. They don't have any share among them. The Lord himself is their share. That's what the Lord your God told them. I had stayed on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, just as I did the first time. The Lord listened to me that time also. He didn't want to destroy you. Go, the Lord said to me, lead the people on their way. Then they can enter the land and take it over. I have given my word. I promised I would give the land to their fathers, to Jacob, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Honor the Lord. And now, Israel, what is the Lord your God asking you to do? Honor him. Live exactly as he wants you to live. Love him, serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. Obey the Lord's commands and rules. I'm giving them to you today for your own good. The heavens belong to the Lord your God. Even the highest heavens belong to him. He owns the earth and everything in it. But the Lord loved your people of long ago very much. You are their very children, and he chose you above all the other nations. His love and promise remain with you to this very day, so don't be stubborn anymore. Obey the Lord your God is the greatest God of all. He is the greatest Lord of all. He is the great God. He is mighty and wonderful. He treats everyone the same. He doesn't accept any money from those who want special favors. He stands up for widows and for children whose fathers have died. He loves outsiders living among you. He gives them food and clothes. So you also must love outsiders. Remember that you yourself were outsiders in Egypt. Honor the Lord your God, serve him, remain true. And when you make a promises, do not sow in his name. He is the one you should praise, and he is your God. With your own eyes you saw the great and amazing things he did for you. Long ago your people went down into Egypt. The total number of them was 70. And now the Lord your God has made you as many as the stars in the sky. So I'm at Deuteronomy chapter 11. Love and obey the Lord. Deuteronomy chapter 11. Love the Lord your God and do what he requires. Always obey his rules, laws, and commands. Remember today that your children were the ones the Lord your God guided and corrected. They didn't see his majesty. They weren't in Egypt when he reached out his mighty hand and powerful arm. They didn't see the signs and the other things he did in Egypt. They didn't see what he did to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and to the whole country. They weren't there when the Lord destroyed the army of Egypt and its horses and chariots. He swept the waters of the Red Sea over the Egyptians while they were chasing you, and he wiped them out forever. Your children didn't see what he did for you in the desert before you arrived here. They didn't see what he did to Dathan and Aram, the sons of Elam, and Elam was from the tribe of Reuben. The earth opened its mouth right in the middle of the Israelite camp. It swallowed up Dathan and Aram and swallowed them up together with their families, tents, and everything living thing that belonged to them. But with your eyes you saw all the great things the Lord has done. So obey all the commands I'm giving you today. Then you will be strong enough to go and take over the land. You will go across the Jordan River and take the land as your own, and you will live there for a long time. It's the land your Lord promised to give to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and their children after them. He gave his word when he made that promise. The land has plenty of milk and honey. You will enter and take it over it. It isn't like the land of Egypt. That's where you come from. You planted your seeds there. You had to water them just as you have to water a vegetable garden. But you will soon go across the Jordan River. The land you are going to take over has mountains and valleys in it. It drinks rain from heaven. It is a land the Lord your God takes care of. His eyes always look on it with favor, and he watches over it from the beginning of the year to its end. So be faithful, obey the commands the Lord your God is giving you today, and love him, serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. Then the Lord will send rain on your land at the right times. He will send rain in the fall and in the spring, and you will be able to gather your grain. You will also be able to make olive oil and fresh wine. He will provide grass in the fields for your cattle. You will have plenty to eat. But be careful, don't let anyone tempt you to do something wrong. Don't turn away and worship other gods. Don't bow down to them. If you do, the Lord will be very angry with you. He'll close up the sky. It won't rain. The ground won't produce its crops. Soon you will die. You won't live to enjoy the good land the Lord has given you. So keep my words in your heart and mind. Write them down and tie them on your hands as a reminder. Also tie them on your foreheads. Teach them to your children and talk about them when you are at home. Talk about them when you walk along the road. Speak about them when you go to bed, and speak about them when you get up. Write them on your door frames of your houses. Also write them on your gates. Then you and your children will live for a long time in the land the Lord promised to give, the land of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Your family line will continue as long as the heavens remain above the earth. So be careful, obey all the commands I'm giving you to follow. Love the Lord your God, live exactly as he wants you to live, and remain true to him. Then the Lord will drive out all the nations to make room for you. They are larger and stronger than you, but you will take their land. Every place you walk on will belong to you. Your territory will go all the way from the desert to Lebanon. It will go from the Euphrates River to the Mediterranean Sea. No one will be able to stand up against you. The Lord your God will throw the whole land into a panic because of you. He'll do it in everywhere you go, just as he promised you. Listen to me. I'm setting a blessing and a curse in front of you today. I'm giving you the commands of the Lord your God today. You will be blessed if you obey them, but you will be cursed if you don't obey them. So don't turn away from the path I am now commanding you to take. Don't turn away by worshiping other gods you didn't know before. The Lord your God will bring you into the land to take it over. And when he does, you must announce the blessings from Mount Gerizim. You must announce the curses from Mount Ebal. As you know, those mountains are across the Jordan River, and they are on the west side of the Jordan toward the setting sun. They are near the large trees of Moriah. The mountains are in the territory of the Canaanites who live in the Arabia Valley near Gilead. You are about to go across the Jordan River, and you will enter the land and take it over. And the Lord your God is giving it to you, and you will take it over and live there. When you do, make sure you obey all the rules and laws I'm giving you today. Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. What is the Lord God asking you to do? Honor him. Live exactly as he wants you to live. Love him, serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. Deuteronomy chapter 11:20. The Hebrew people to write God's words on the doorframes of their houses. Many people wrote verses of the Bible on bits of paper, and then they put them in little boxes and hung by the door. Jewish children were taught to touch these boxes, called mezuzah, whenever they went in or out of the houses. The little boxes reminded them to obey the Lord. Should I read chapter 12 and be done? So, chapter 12, and then I'll be done. Worship only where the Lord wants you to. Here are rules and laws you must obey. Be careful to obey them in the land the Lord has given you to take as your own. He is the God of your people who lived long ago. Obey these rules and laws as long as you live in the land. You will soon drive the nations out of it, completely destroy all the places where they worship their gods. Destroy them on the high mountains, on the hills, and under every green tree. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn up the poles they used to worship the female god named Asherah. Cut down the statue of their gods and wipe out the names of their gods from those places. You must not worship the Lord your God the way those nations worship their gods. Instead, go to the special place he will choose from among all your tribes. He will put his name there. That's where you must go and take your burnt offerings and sacrifices to that place. Bring your special gifts and a tenth of everything you produce. Take with you what you have promised to give, and bring any other offering you choose to give. And bring the male animals among your livestock that were born first to their mothers. You and your families will eat at the place the Lord your God will choose. He will be with you there, and you will find joy in everything you have done. That's because he has blessed you. You must not do as we're doing here today. All of us are doing only what we think is right. That's because you haven't yet reached the place the Lord has given you. Your God will give you peace and rest there. But first you will go across the Jordan River, and you will settle in the land he's given you. It will belong to you as your share, and he will give you peace and rest from all your enemies around you. You will live in safety, and the Lord your God will choose a special place. He will put his name there, and that's where you must bring everything I command you to bring. That includes your burnt offerings and your sacrifices. It includes your special gifts and a tenth of everything you produce. It also includes all the things of value that you promised to give to the Lord. Be filled with joy there in the sight of the Lord your God. Your children should be joyful. So should your male and female servants, and so should the Levites from your towns. And the Levites won't receive any part of the land at their share. Be careful not to sacrifice your burnt offerings anywhere you want to. Offer them only at the place the Lord will choose in one of your tribes. There you must obey everything I commanded you. But you can kill your animals in any of your towns. You can eat as much as the meat as you want to. You can eat as it were antelope or deer meat. That is part of the blessing the Lord your God is giving you. Those who are clean, and those who are not can eat it. But you must not eat meat that still has blood in it. Pour the blood out on the ground like water. Here are the things you must not eat in your own towns. You must not eat the tenth part of the green olive oil and the fresh wine. It belongs to the Lord. You must not eat the male animals among your livestock that were born first to their mothers. Oh, goodness. You must not eat the tenth part of the grain, olive oil, and fresh wine. It belongs to the Lord. You must not eat the male animals among your livestock that were born first to their mothers. Don't eat anything you have promised to give, and don't eat any offerings you have chosen to give. And you must not eat any of your special gifts. Instead, you must eat all of those things in the sight of the Lord your God, and do it at the place he chooses Your children, your male and your female servants, and the Levites from your towns can eat them. Be filled with joy in the sight of the Lord your God, and be joyful in everything you do. Don't forget to take care of the Levites as long as you live in your land. The Lord your God will increase your territory, just as he has promised you. And when he does, you might get hungry for meat. You might say, I really like some meat. Then you can eat as much of it as you want to. The Lord your God will choose a special place, and he will put his name there. But suppose that place is too far away from you. Then you can kill animals from the herds and flocks of the Lord has given you, and do it just as I have commanded you. In your own towns, you can eat as much of the meat as you want to. Eat as if you would eat antelope or deer. Those who are clean and those who are not clean, those who are not can eat it. But be sure you do not eat meat still has the blood in it. The blood is animal's life. So you must not eat the life along with the meat. You must not eat the blood. Pour it out to the ground like water. Don't eat it. Then things will go well with you and your children after you, and you will be doing what is right in the Lord's eyes of the Lord. But go to a place the Lord will choose and take with you the things you have set apart for him, and bring what you have promised to give him. Sacrifice your burnt offerings on the altar of the Lord your God. Offer the meat and the blood there. The blood of your sacrifices must be poured out beside his altar. But you can eat the meat. Make sure you obey all the rules I'm giving you. Then things will always go well with you and your children after you. That's because you will be doing what is good and right in the eyes of the Lord your God. You are about to attack the land and take it over as your own. And when you do, the Lord your God will destroy the nations who live there. He will do it to make room for you, and you will drive them out. You will settle in your land. They will be destroyed to make room for you, but when they are destroyed, be careful. Don't be trapped. Don't ask questions about their gods. Don't say, how do these nations serve their gods? Or do it in the same way. You must not worship the Lord your God the way they worship your gods. When they worship, they do all kinds of evil things the Lord hates. They even burn up your children in the fire as sacrifices to their gods. Be sure you do everything I am commanding you to do. Do not add anything to my commands, and do not take anything away from them. Okay, I read the 12, so we'll be at 13 the next time. Deuteronomy 13.